The River of Unfolding. Welcome back, seekers of the quiet mind. Settle now into this moment of stillness, releasing all need for effort. The weight of the anchor. We settle now into the deep quiet of the evening, where the world outside the window has paused its restless turning. The temple grounds are bathed in the cool, silent ink of midnight, and the only movements are the slow drift of the moon and the gentle turning of your own breath. For too long, perhaps, the mind has been gripping the reins of life, straining against the natural current, convinced that control is the only safety. Tonight, we offer the invitation to lay down that burden. We begin the journey not by fighting the current, but by simply noticing it. Allow the weight of the day, the weight of the future, and the weight of the past to pool beneath you, sinking into the earth. There is nothing left to hold. We are here, now, in the still sanctuary of this moment. Let us flow. We begin in the darkness, the body resting upon the surface beneath it. Feel the cool sweep of the air across your skin, the subtle texture of the sheets or the mat supporting you. Let your awareness sink immediately to the parts of you that meet the ground, the heels, the calves, the curve of the hips, the broad expanse of the back, and the heavy architecture of the shoulders. Notice how gravity, a constant, silent presence, draws everything downward. Yet, despite this physical surrender to the earth, there is often an internal resistance, a subtle, persistent tension that runs like a hidden wire through the core of the being. This is the weight we carry, the unacknowledged anchor we keep dragging even as we wish to drift free upon the water. It is the need to hold on, the refusal to trust the current. We do not judge this tension, we simply locate it. Bring your awareness now to the center of your torso, the region just below the ribs, where the diaphragm labors. This area, often referred to as the solar plexus, is where the mind registers its deepest anxieties and its firmest resistance. Notice the quality of the sensation there. Is it a knot, a tight fist held closed, a dense, unmoving block? It may feel hard, like stone compressed within soft tissue, refusing the natural pliability of the body. This hardness is the physical manifestation of the need to control, the burden of the anchor. Now, we invite the breath to visit this tight space. Take a breath that is slower and deeper than the ones preceding it, drawing the air in through the nostrils with immense, unhurried care. Feel the cool stream trace its path downward, past the throat, into the chest, and finally expanding the belly. Allow the abdomen to rise gently, like a small boat lifting on a quiet tide. This expansion should be soft, not forced. As you exhale, let the breath leave through slightly parted lips, making a sound like a gentle sigh or the sound of soft wind passing through reeds. Let the breath carry away the edges of that hardness, moving outward from the solar plexus. The exhale is the initial act of non-resistance. It is the moment we consciously choose to put down a fraction of the weight. Repeat this slow, deliberate cycle. Inhale, a deep, quiet filling, noticing the subtle stretch in the lower ribs. Exhale, a complete, unhurried release, noticing the sinking sensation in the core. The breath is the messenger between the conscious mind and the resistant body. It is the gentle probe that does not demand entry, but simply offers softening. Observe how the body reacts to this simple, focused attention. The mind, accustomed to rapid movement and sharp focus on external problems, may try to pull away. It may bring forward a list of concerns, a memory of a past slight, or a worry about the approaching dawn. These thoughts are the ropes and chains attached to the anchor. We do not engage with them, we simply notice their presence, acknowledging them as fleeting clouds passing across the vast, dark sky of your awareness. Return always, gently, to the sensation of the air moving in and out. The air is cool upon entry, carrying the freshness of the night. It is warm upon exit, carrying the residue of the body's internal labor. Follow the path of the exhale with such meticulous attention that it becomes the only reality. Trace it from the moment the diaphragm begins to relax, through the collapsing of the chest, past the throat, and out into the surrounding air. This release is a tiny, perfect surrender. Focus now on the immense stillness surrounding you, the deep contrast between the quiet outside and the small, persistent churning inside. The room is dark, silent, holding its shape without effort. Perhaps a very distant sound intrudes, the faint, rhythmic chirp of a cricket hidden somewhere far outside the window. A sound that does not break the silence, but rather defines its depth, marking the boundaries of the vast quiet. This sound is perfectly placed, requiring no action, no response, no resistance from you. It simply is. Let the sound exist fully, without needing to identify its source or predict its next appearance. Just like the sound, let your internal tightness simply exist for a moment, without needing to fix it or force it open. This is the first step of non-resistance, allowing things to be exactly as they are, without the effort of argument. The anchor of control is often heavy because we believe deep down that if we let go, the boat will drift into disaster. We hold the tension in the core as a protective measure, a readiness for the fight. But the fight is often internal, against the very nature of existence, against change, against uncertainty, against the simple, unavoidable flow of life. We will use the breath to gently test the weight of this anchor. Inhale slowly, counting silently to 4. Feel the breath expanding the abdomen, pushing gently against the tension in the solar plexus. Hold the breath at the top for just a moment, a pause of perfect stillness where inhalation meets exhalation. Now, release the breath for a silent count of 6. Allow the exhale to be longer, softer, more complete than the inhale. As the air flows out, imagine that the tension in the core is softening, not disappearing instantly, but softening at the edges, dissolving like a cube of ice placed in warm water. It is not an aggressive melting, but a slow, persistent yielding. Repeat this 4-1-6 rhythm, letting the emphasis fall upon the 6-count exhale. Each time you release the breath, imagine a small, invisible chain linking you to the anchor snapping, not with violence, but with quiet permission. Feel the subtle shifts in the muscles of your back. The large, powerful muscles running alongside the spine often hold residual tension from the day's upright effort. As the core begins to soften, these muscles, too, are invited to relax. Notice the points of contact between your back and the resting surface. Is the upper back pressing more firmly than the lower back? Are the shoulder blades slightly raised, hinting at a posture of defense or readiness? With the next exhale, allow the shoulder blades to widen and flatten, sinking deeper into the support beneath them. Feel the weight of the arms, heavy and inert, resting alongside the body. The hands, too, often retain the memory of gripping, holding, and performing. Gently unclench the fingers, allowing them to curl naturally and softly. There is nothing to grasp here, nothing to secure. The moment is already secured by its own existence. This attention to detail, this deep, slow observation of the body, is the practice of dwelling fully in the present. The anchor is always tethered either to a past regret or a future fear. By bringing all of your awareness into the microscopic sensation of the present breath, you temporarily cut both tethers. Consider the simple Zen parable of the boatman. A boatman was rowing his small vessel across a wide, quiet lake. He was focused on his rhythm, his mind clear. Suddenly, another boat, drifting empty and unmoored, crashed into his. The boatman became enraged, yelling about carelessness and lack of attention. But when he looked up and saw that the boat was completely empty, just a vessel adrift, Guided only by the wind and the subtle currents, his anger instantly vanished. There was no one to blame, no intentional fault to resist. Your anxiety, your internal resistance, is often like that angry boatman. It collides with the empty boat of life's uncertainty and seeks someone or something to blame, something to control, something to anchor itself to. But when you look closely at the source of the collision, you find it is empty. There is no fixed enemy, only the natural, unguided drift of circumstance. Let this realization soften the tension in your face. Often, the forehead is furrowed, the eyebrows drawn together in concentration or worry. The jaw may be clenched, holding the unspoken words and the internal arguments. With your next slow 6-count exhale, deliberately soften the muscles around the eyes. Let the eyelids feel heavy and still. Release the subtle tension at the corners of the mouth. Allow the tongue to rest heavily in the floor of the mouth, pulling away from the roof. The effort to resist life is exhausting. It consumes the vital energy needed for simple existence. The constant vigilance required to keep the anchor secured drains the body and sharpens the mind into a state of perpetual readiness. Tonight, we permit the profound exhaustion of that effort to manifest. Feel the heavy, pleasant drag of fatigue settling into the limbs, not as a weakness, but as a deep, necessary surrender. Return once more to the core, the center of gravity, the place where the original tension was located. Inhale deeply, allowing the breath to fill the space like warm, thick honey. As you exhale, imagine the core becoming soft, vast, and receptive, like an open expanse of quiet water. The tightness is not fought. It is simply allowed to spread out, losing its density and its sharp edges. Focus on the physical sensation of the air entering and leaving the nostrils. The air flows, a continuous, quiet stream. It does not resist the structure of your nose. It flows around the delicate bones and cartilage. It does not resist the path of the trachea. It flows down, guided by the body's own design. The breath itself is a master lesson in non-resistance. It takes the path of least effort, always moving, always flowing. Emulate the breath. Let your awareness follow this path of least resistance. If a wave of restlessness rises, do not resist the restlessness. Simply observe its texture. Is it a buzzing energy, a feeling of heat, a twitch in the foot? Acknowledge it fully, without judgment, and then gently return your attention to the slow 6-count exhale. The breath is your refuge, the constantly available gateway back to the present moment. Let the weight of the anchor, the heavy burden of control and resistance, be fully felt now. It is heavy. It is tiring. Acknowledge the sheer effort it takes to maintain that tension. And in this acknowledgement, find the first, soft whisper of relief. The relief comes not from solving the problem, but from realizing the immense cost of holding on to it. Inhale, receive the quiet. Exhale, release the effort. Allow the darkness surrounding you to feel safe and enveloping. The darkness requires nothing of you. It simply holds the space. Contrast this safe, passive darkness with the internal pressure you might still feel. The darkness outside is a mirror for the stillness we seek inside. Let the breath continue its long, slow journey. Each exhale is a deepening of the surrender, a further softening of the core. We are learning, molecule by molecule, muscle fiber by muscle fiber, that to let go is not to fall into chaos, but to fall into the deep, reliable support of the present moment. The earth holds the body, the quiet holds the space, the breath holds the awareness. The anchor is heavy, but the rope is old, and the current is strong. We allow the flow of the breath to begin the slow, steady process of attrition, not through force, but through soft, persistent yielding. Feel the immense relief of knowing that for this moment, right now, there is absolutely nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to fight, and nowhere else you need to be. You are simply here, resting, letting the weight of the anchor begin its slow, silent descent toward release. The unseen current. We turn now to the quiet recognition of effort, the subtle, persistent strain we carry within the body, the internal resistance that whispers, "I must fight this current." Settle deeper into the space beneath you, feeling the texture of the surface supporting your weight, the firmness that offers absolute trust. Let the sound of your own breathing become the anchor, a slow, deep rhythm that pulls you down, down, into the bedrock of stillness. Imagine yourself now, not on solid ground, but adrift upon a vast, dark body of water. You are seated within a small, wooden skiff. It is sturdy, well made, but insignificant against the immensity of the ocean or the breadth of a great river. The night is deep, moonless, yet the water beneath you is not still. There is a movement, powerful and undeniable, a deep, unseen current that grips the hull of your little boat. You feel the resistance immediately. It is not a sudden crash, but a pervasive, lateral pull. Your instinct, the deep-seated impulse of the ego, is to fight. You grip the imaginary tiller, your knuckles whitening against the worn wood. You brace your feet against the floorboards, attempting to hold the boat steady, to impose your will upon the enormous, liquid force moving beneath you. Notice where this effort settles first. It pools in the high, hard points of your body. It gathers in the shoulders, those weary sentinels that guard the neck and the heart. Feel the accumulated weight resting there, the two bony shelves that seem to carry not just the weight of your arms, but the weight of all your worries, the past decisions you cannot undo, the future uncertainties you cannot yet solve. These shoulders are braced for impact, tense against a current that does not care whether you resist or yield. Observe the tiny, fibrous knots nestled near the base of the neck, the places where the effort of the day has been carefully coiled and held tight. Allow the breath to be a warm, dissolving balm that flows into these constricted spaces. Inhale deeply, allowing the chest to expand fully, and as you exhale, imagine the breath traveling outward, through the collarbones, down the arms, and finally, releasing the grip. Let the shoulder blades soften, sliding gently down your back like two smooth stones sinking through warm silt. Feel the subtle, downward movement, the release of that unnecessary height. Your shoulders do not need to be pulled up toward your ears. They are permitted to rest. They are permitted to melt. This is not weakness. This is alignment. This is the first lesson of non-resistance. The current will move you whether you fight it or not. Fighting only exhausts the rower. As the tension in the shoulders begins to liquefy, notice how the effort attempts to migrate. It often leaps upward, seeking refuge in the landscape of the face. Direct your attention now to the brow, the smooth expanse of skin above the eyes. Here, the struggle to control life's flow often manifests as a subtle furrow, a tiny vertical line etched between the eyebrows, symbolizing concern, concentration, and profound effort. We spend so much time knitting the brow, trying to solve the unsolvable, trying to see clearly through the fog of uncertainty. Let that effort cease. Imagine the skin of the forehead becoming as smooth and undisturbed as the surface of a deep, still pool on a windless morning. Allow the muscles beneath the skin to relax their grip, unfurling like a tightly clenched fist opening into the palm of acceptance. The eyes, too, can soften within their sockets, heavy and relaxed, trusting the darkness. And then, the jaw. The jaw holds the residue of unspoken words, the frustrations we swallowed down, the sharp responses we restrained, or the arguments we rehearsed endlessly in the silent chambers of the mind. Bring your gentle awareness to the hinge points just below the ears. Feel the subtle clenching, the unconscious grinding that often persists even during sleep. This is the physical signature of holding on. Let the teeth gently separate, not forcefully, but with a slight, almost imperceptible parting, creating a small, dark space between the upper and lower rows. Allow the heavy weight of the lower jaw to simply drop, suspended loosely by the ligaments. Imagine the muscles along the cheekbones and beneath the chin softening, releasing their protective guard. When the jaw is relaxed, the mind often follows, realizing there is nothing immediate to bite down upon, nothing to defend against. Return to the image of the boat. The tiller is still in your hand, but your grip has loosened. You are no longer fighting the current, you are beginning to feel its direction. The current is not malicious, it is simply movement. It is the nature of the river. If you cease to fight, the boat ceases its frantic shuddering and begins to move with a smoother, almost silent glide. This unseen current is the flow of life itself, the inevitable changes, the unexpected losses, the sudden joys, the shifting circumstances that define our existence. We exhaust ourselves by insisting the river flow backward, or that the tide halt its return to the shore. Wisdom, the deep, resonant wisdom of the path, suggests that freedom lies in recognizing the flow and aligning ourselves with it. The futility of resistance is a lesson often taught through simplicity. Let us turn our attention now to a small parable, a tale carried down through the generations of Zen masters, illustrating the immediate freedom that accompanies true non-attachment. Imagine two monks, Tanzan and Aikido, traveling together along a muddy road. The rain had been heavy and the path was slick and treacherous. Tanzan was a large, imposing man, known for his jovial nature and his immediate, practical compassion. Aikido was younger, meticulous, and rigidly observant of the monastic rules, which strictly forbade contact with women. As they approached a deep bend in the road, they came upon a young woman dressed in a fine silk kimono. She was stranded, unable to cross the deepest part of the mud without ruining her beautiful garments. She stood there, hesitating, her expression one of distress and helplessness. Tanzan, without a moment's pause, simply set down his traveling staff. He walked directly to the woman, lifted her effortlessly in his strong arms, and carried her across the worst of the mire, setting her down gently on the dry ground on the other side. He gave a slight bow, picked up his staff, and continued on his journey. Aikido, the younger monk, followed silently. His face was a mask of internal conflict. His breathing was shallow, tight, caught high in his chest. His mind was a churning vortex of judgment and agitation. He walked for miles, the silence between them growing heavy and oppressive, weighted by his unspoken condemnation. They continued their journey through the soft, damp forest. The air was rich with the scent of pine needles and wet earth. Each footstep was muted by the mossy ground. Aikido watched the light filter through the canopy, noticing how the sun sliced the humidity into golden shafts, but he saw none of the beauty. His attention was fixed solely on the image of Tanzan carrying the woman. He walked past towering cedar trees, their bark rough and textured beneath his fingertips. He listened to the distant, rhythmic sound of a woodpecker tapping against a dead branch, a sound that usually brought him peace, but today it only amplified the rapid, insistent drumming of his own heart. He tried to meditate on the present moment, on the simple action of walking, but the image persisted. The woman's silk, the feel of her body, the clear violation of the monastic code. Finally, late in the afternoon, as they reached the sanctuary of the monastery gate, Aikido could bear the burden no longer. His resistance, the internal battle he had fought for hours, erupted. He turned to the older monk, his voice strained and accusatory. "Tanzan," he demanded, "we are monks. We are strictly forbidden to go near females, especially young and attractive ones. Why did you carry that woman across the mud? Tanzan stopped, turning slowly to face his companion. He looked at Aikido with an expression of pure, unburdened clarity. He smiled gently and replied, I set her down hours ago by the side of the road. Are you still carrying her? Allow the simplicity of that question to settle into the quiet chambers of your own mind. Are you still carrying her? This parable speaks directly to the nature of non-resistance. The current of life flows and events occur. Tanzan engaged with the moment, acted with compassion, and then immediately released the event. He did not cling to the act, the rule, the judgment, or the memory. He set the burden down. Aikido, however, took the event, wrapped it in his judgment, weighed it down with his rules, and carried the heavy, fictionalized version of it for hours. He fought the memory, and in fighting the memory, he exhausted his spirit and destroyed his peace. We do this constantly. We carry the mud of yesterday's interactions, the weight of last year's failures, and the imagined crises of tomorrow. We brace our shoulders against the inevitable current of change, refusing to set the burden down. Now, return to your body, where the subtle residue of Aikido's struggle often resides. Re-examine your shoulders. Have they crept back up? If so, gently, lovingly, remind them of the lesson of the road. Let the burden of the past few hours, the demands, the expectations, the small disappointments slide away. You are not required to carry them into this moment of rest. Feel the deep, pervasive sense of relief that comes from relinquishing control. The boat is still moving, the current is still strong, but your hands are open now. You are not gripping the tiller, you are merely resting your hand upon it, acknowledging the direction without fighting it. Notice the sound of the water against the wooden hull. It is a soft, rhythmic lapping, a sound of deep, liquid contentment. Lapping, lapping. This sound mirrors your breath, the gentle in and out that requires no effort, no thought, only trust. Inhale slowly, feeling the chest and belly rise. As you exhale, imagine the air leaving your body not as a rush, but as a slow, warm sigh that softens the skin around your eyes and releases the last lingering tension from your jaw. The water beneath the boat is deep, silent, and entirely supportive. You do not need to paddle, the current is carrying you. You do not need to strain to see the shore, the journey unfolds moment by moment. This is the art of non-resistance, to accept the moment as it is without insisting that it be otherwise. To recognize the inevitable flow, and rather than fighting it, to align your small vessel with its direction. Let the image of the struggling boat dissolve. Let the image of the muddy road fade. All that remains is the deep, dark calm of the water and the quiet, steady presence of your breath. Feel the profound stillness that settles in the center of your being when you choose to set down the weight of judgment and effort. The energy that was previously spent fighting the current is now available for rest, for healing, for deep, restorative peace. Your shoulders are soft now, heavy and supported. Your brow is smooth, free of worry. Your jaw is loose, relaxed, having nothing left to clench against. The current is flowing. You are moving with grace. Trust the flow. Trust the support beneath you. Simply allow yourself to be carried toward stillness. We rest here, in the quiet movement, suspended between the surface and the depths, entirely free of the need to resist. Nothing is required of you now, except to breathe, to soften, and to let go. We settle now, sinking into the quietude that waits just beneath the rush of the world. Let the shoulders soften, let the jaw release its unnecessary tension, and let the small weights you carry momentarily drift away. We turn our attention inward, seeking the ancient, unshakable foundation of peace that rests within the stillness of the heart. The journey of the Lotus Whisper is not one of striving, but of gentle yielding. We do not seek to conquer the currents of anxiety, but merely to observe them as they pass, like clouds drifting across the boundless sky. Breathe in the silence, breathe out the noise. Let the body become heavy, anchored to the earth, preparing for the deep tranquility that awaits when the mind finds its true, mirror-like nature. We begin the slow descent toward rest, guided by the rhythm of acceptance and the light of understanding. We arrive now at the edge of the still pond, a perfect circle of dark, liquid silence nestled deep within the valley of your own awareness. This water is the mind, and tonight we are learning the art of the perfect reflection. Take a slow, deliberate breath, drawing the cool, clean air deep into the very base of your being. As you exhale, imagine the air leaving your lungs, carrying with it any residue of the struggle you may have felt before, the effort to control, the striving to resist. That striving is unnecessary here. The pond does not strive, it simply is. It waits, patient and vast, for the turbulence to settle on its own accord. Look down upon the surface. It is a flawless plain, a deep, liquid obsidian that holds the entire expanse of the twilight sky. You can see the faint, fading glow of the western horizon reflected with immaculate precision, and the first, sharp pinpricks of the emerging stars are doubled below, floating in the dark depths. This is the natural state of the mind, clear, calm, and capable of reflecting reality exactly as it is, without distortion or preference. Feel the profound silence that emanates from this water. It is not an empty silence, but a full one, rich with the potential of stillness. The air above the pond is heavier, cooler than the air around you, carrying the ancient scent of damp moss and settled earth. The surface tension of the water is so exquisite, so perfectly balanced, that it seems less like a liquid and more like polished, dark glass stretched taut over the quiet depth. We are shifting now. From the active stance of fighting resistance, of trying to scoop the mud out of the water, to the passive yet powerful stance of simple observation. The water teaches us that resistance is merely the consequence of movement, and stillness is achieved not by effort, but by non-effort. Imagine yourself sitting beside this mirror of the mind. You are not the water, nor are you the reflection. You are the silent observer, the witness seated quietly on the mossy bank. Your task is not to change the surface, but merely to watch it, accepting whatever movement arises. Focus on your breath once more, that constant, quiet anchor. The inhale is the rising tide, the exhale is the gentle recession. This breath is the very embodiment of non-resistance. It never fights the air, it simply allows the air to enter and allows the air to leave. It is the most perfect flow you possess. Let the rhythm of this effortless breathing synchronize with the unwavering stillness of the pond before you. Now, watch the surface closely. Inevitably, a subtle shift occurs. Perhaps a tiny, unseen insect touches the water far away, or the faintest whisper of the evening breeze brushes across the center. A ripple forms. Observe this ripple. It is nothing more than a momentary disturbance, a temporary deviation from the perfect stillness. It begins small, a microscopic dimple, but then it expands outward in widening circles. Trace its movement with your inner eye. See how the reflected stars become distorted, elongated, shimmering wildly for a brief second. This ripple is a thought. It is a memory of yesterday, a plan for tomorrow, a sudden worry about a small, mundane task, or a fleeting sensation of physical discomfort. It is resistance itself, manifesting as a movement in the stillness. Your immediate, conditioned impulse might be to lean forward, to reach out, to smooth the surface with your hand, or to shout at the ripple to cease its movement. But the wisdom of the pond teaches otherwise. To fight the ripple is to create a bigger disturbance. To resist the resistance is to double the effort. Instead, we simply watch. We allow the ripple to be exactly what it is, a transient pattern of energy. See how the ripple travels across the surface, losing its intensity with every millimeter it covers. It does not linger. It obeys the immutable law of dissolution. It expands, it softens, and then, without any intervention from you, it merges back into the flawless, obsidian silence from which it arose. The reflection reforms instantly, the stars snapping back into their sharp, clear focus. This is the practice of non-judgmental observation. When a thought, a ripple of anxiety, a wave of concern arises, the mind, like the pond, simply registers its presence without comment. It reflects the disturbance, but it does not become the disturbance. It does not cling to the distorted image. Let us practice this with the internal landscape now. As you lie here, deeply supported, perhaps a tiny ripple of tightness appears in your chest, or a quick, judging thought surfaces. Am I doing this right? Do not chase that thought. Do not try to answer it, and certainly do not try to flatten it. Simply observe it, as if it were that tiny ripple on the vast pond. Acknowledge its presence with a gentle inner nod, and then immediately return your attention to the silent depth beneath the surface, the stillness that is always present, even when the ripples are moving. The water does not say, "I wish I were not rippling." It simply ripples, and then it is still again. Feel the profound ease in this act of allowing. When you release the effort of resistance, you free up tremendous reserves of energy. The mind, relieved of its duty to police itself, begins its natural descent into tranquility. We deepen the connection between the breath and the water now. As you inhale slowly, imagine the vast, dark surface of the pond rising ever so slightly, mirroring the gentle expansion of your own chest. The water accepts the air's pressure without complaint. As you exhale, the pond settles back down, flattening, becoming perfectly still again. The water releases the subtle pressure, yielding completely. Inhale, expansion, acceptance of the movement. Exhale, settling, returning to stillness, acceptance of the return. This breath is your constant reminder that flow and stillness are two sides of the same moment. You do not have to hold the stillness, you only have to allow the flow, and stillness is the inevitable result. Imagine a small, smooth stone dropped into the water. This stone represents a powerful, disruptive thought, perhaps a deep-seated fear or a memory that causes sharp pain. When the stone hits, the water churns violently. Waves crash against the bank. The reflection is utterly shattered. If you were to jump into the water and try to hold the waves down, what would happen? You would only create more chaos, more splashing, more exhaustion. The water would never clear. The Zen master's wisdom reminds us, if you want muddy water to become clear, the only thing you must do is leave it alone. Do not stir it, do not attempt to filter it by force, simply allow the mud, layer by slow layer, to settle to the bottom. We sit now, practicing the art of leaving the water alone. The mind is muddy from the day's activities, from the internal debate of resistance. We do not fight the mud. We observe the churning surface, knowing that beneath the chaos, the stone has already sunk, and the process of settling has already begun. Feel the deep, weighted pull of gravity working on your body, assisting the process of settling. Your arms are heavy, resting upon the surface of the earth. Your legs are still, finding their deepest comfort. Every muscle fiber is beginning to yield its tension, releasing its grip on the day's anxieties. With every exhale, imagine a tiny particle of that mental mud sinking deeper into the quiet, unmoving bottom of the pond. The mind is a mirror. and a mirror does not judge what it reflects. If a beautiful mountain passes by, the mirror reflects the mountain. If a hideous monster passes by, the mirror reflects the monster. As soon as the object moves on, the mirror returns instantly to its pure, empty clarity. It does not hold on to the beauty, nor does it cling to the horror. Practice being this mirror. Let the thoughts arise, the silly ones, the serious ones, the distracting ones. Watch them pass across the screen of your awareness. They are merely reflections. They are not you. See the thought appear. I must remember to send that email tomorrow. The mirror reflects it. See the thought dissolve. The mirror instantly returns to the reflected stars. There is no effort in this process. It is simply the nature of the mind when it is allowed to rest in its natural state. As the twilight deepens, the reflection on the pond becomes even more profound. The light shifts from grey to a rich, velvety indigo. The stars are now countless, sharp points of light that pierce the dark, still surface below. Notice the coolness rising from the water and enveloping your body. This coolness is deeply soothing, extinguishing the inner heat of agitation and worry. It is the temperature of perfect balance, neither hot nor cold, but utterly serene. We are entering a deeper phase of stillness now, where the boundary between the observer and the observed begins to soften. You are no longer just sitting by the pond. You are beginning to feel the deep, quiet stability of the water itself. Allow your body to mimic the perfect stillness of the pond. Let the chest be broad and open, like the wide surface receiving the sky. Let the limbs be heavy and settled, like the deep, unmoving water below the surface. If any last, persistent ripple of resistance arises, a restless foot, a sudden urge to move, a final flash of a demanding thought, meet it not with frustration, but with profound gentleness. Welcome it as a signpost, reminding you to return to the anchor of the breath. Inhale, quiet expansion. Exhale, deeper settling. The flow of the breath is the non-resistant constant. It does not argue with the body's needs, it simply serves them. It asks nothing of you but to allow it to happen. Let your awareness sink down, past the surface reflections, past the immediate disturbances, into the cool, silent depths of the water. Here, in the deepest layer, there is no ripple. There is only stability, clarity, and peace. This is the bedrock of your being. Rest here, in the vast, unmoving clarity. You are the mirror that holds the world without being held by it. You are the stillness that allows the movement. The more you allow the water to settle itself, the clearer the reflection becomes. The clearer the reflection, the closer you move toward the deep, effortless relaxation that precedes true, restorative sleep. Release the final vestiges of effort. Your work is done. You have learned the art of non-resistance through observation. You do not need to fight the night. You only need to allow the night to receive you. Let the image of the perfect, still pond hold your awareness, a vast, dark, liquid mirror reflecting the silent, star-filled sky. Every fiber of your being is sinking with this profound peace. The mind is settling, the breath is flowing. All is well, and all is quiet. Sink deeper, yielding entirely to the steady, unshakable stillness. Bamboo bends. We return now to the quiet path, where the air itself seems woven from silence and the soft, cool breath of ancient growth. Step lightly, moving beyond the familiar forest edge and into the heart of the bamboo grove, the place where flexibility is not merely a virtue, but the very law of survival. The transition is immediate and profound. The quality of sound changes instantly, muffling the distant world, wrapping the ears in a cocoon of dense, humid air. Here, the light is filtered through countless layers of slender jade stalks, creating a perpetual twilight, green and watery. The light does not stream, it dissolves, bathing the scene in a soft, pervasive glow, like being submerged gently beneath the surface of a clear, shallow pool. Feel the earth beneath your feet, no longer the hard, packed soil of the open woods, but a yielding carpet of fine, dry bamboo leaves layered deep over years. Each step is softened, silent, absorbed by the resilient matting. This floor breathes with the grove, rustling faintly only when you pause, settling into the stillness. The temperature here is cool, damp, slightly medicinal, carrying the subtle, clean scent of chlorophyll and fresh water. Draw this air deep into your lungs. Inhale the patience of the hollow stalk. Exhale the need to stand rigid. Look around you at the bamboo. It rises in impossible density, column after column, reaching 60, 70 feet toward the pale ceiling of the sky. Each stalk is smooth, cool to the touch, divided by perfect, delicate nodes, points of strength and separation. They stand close, yet they do not compete. They simply coexist, rooted together, sharing the moisture and the light. Observe the color. It is not a harsh green, but a spectrum of muted jade, pale lime, and aged gold, where the sun manages to touch the skin. This color is calming, deep, and steady. Allow your eyes to soften, losing the sharp focus of analysis, letting the vertical lines blur into a single, seamless curtain of quiet strength. Now, we wait for the wind. The forest is still, yet the bamboo is always listening. Listen closely to the unique sounds of the grove. They are not the heavy, resonating echoes of hardwood trees. They are light, hollow, musical. A faint, dry clack as two mature stalks touch momentarily, a sound like distant wooden bells. A gentle, sustained shush as the highest leaves whisper their secrets to the passing currents far above. This symphony is one of acceptance, a quiet acknowledgement of movement without demanding its cessation. We settle our awareness deeply into the center of our being, grounding ourselves in the stillness we have cultivated. Notice the breath. It moves in and out, a gentle, reliable current, just as the air moves through the grove. The breath is the wind of the body. And now, a change begins. A subtle energy stirs high above. It is not yet audible, but the tips of the tallest bamboo begin to sway, describing small, slow arcs against the pale sky. This movement descends, rippling down the length of the stalks like a wave moving through water. The wind arrives, not as a sudden blast, but as a long, sustained pressure. It presses against the grove, a broad, invisible hand attempting to flatten the landscape. Notice how the bamboo responds. The rigid oak would brace itself, tightening its fibers, resisting the force with sheer mass. The oak risks snapping. The bamboo does not resist, it yields. Watch one particular stalk, standing close to the path. It is strong, thick, rooted deep. Yet as the wind pushes, the stalk begins its long, deliberate journey toward the damp earth. It does not fight the pressure. It transforms it into a graceful curve. The bending is slow, committed, and absolute. The middle section of the cane forms a perfect crescent. The top, which moments ago was reaching for the heavens, now sweeps low, almost touching the mat of fallen leaves. There is no struggle in this motion, only surrender. The bamboo accepts the reality of the moment, that the wind is strong and resistance is futile. Feel the weight of this observation settle upon your shoulders, releasing tension. Imagine the thoughts that rush through your mind, the anxieties, the worries, the urgent demands, as that strong, insistent wind. Usually, when the wind of worry blows, we become the rigid oak. We tighten our jaw, clench our fists, argue internally, attempting to stop the thought, to make the feeling go away. This bracing creates fatigue, stress, and eventual breakage. The bamboo teaches us a different way. When the strong gust of a persistent worry arrives, do not brace, yield. Allow the thought to push your awareness low, down toward the grounding earth. Do not argue with the thought. Do not judge the feeling. Simply let the force of the experience bend you. As the bamboo bends, it remains rooted. It loses none of its connection to the earth. It is simply repositioned temporarily by the external force. Hold the image of that deeply bowed stalk. Its curve is exquisite, a demonstration of ultimate strength found in flexibility. It has surrendered its verticality for a moment, knowing that its inherent nature is not lost, only expressed differently. The wind holds its breath for a long, sustained moment, pushing, testing the resolve of the grove. The air is filled with the deep, sighing sound of the stalks rubbing against one another, a low, resonant drone that vibrates through the humid atmosphere. This sound is the voice of non-resistance, a quiet hum of endurance. Now, the gust begins to weaken. The pressure eases, not abruptly, but slowly, gradually receding like a tide going out. Watch the bamboo. It does not spring back violently. Its return is as smooth and deliberate as its descent. With magnificent slowness, the stalk begins to straighten. It rises, regaining its vertical posture, effortlessly, naturally. It has endured the storm by flowing with it. It is whole, undamaged, refreshed by the movement. This is the profound wisdom of yielding. When a difficult emotion, a wave of sadness, a spike of fear arrives, it is a force requiring movement. If we resist it, that energy is trapped within us, rattling the cage of the self. If we yield, allowing the emotion to push our awareness low, the energy dissipates naturally through the movement of acceptance. We do not have to break. We only have to bend. Imagine this process taking place within your own mind. A sharp memory arrives, piercing the quiet. It is a strong wind. Instead of tightening against it, visualize your consciousness bending, bowing low to the memory, acknowledging its force without engaging in a fight. You allow the memory to push you down, grounding you further. Hold the breath gently for a moment, then release it slowly, mimicking the slow, steady return of the bamboo to the upright position. The mind begins to understand that thoughts are merely passing weather systems. They are gusts, showers, or long periods of sunshine. The self, the core of awareness, is the grove itself, rooted, enduring, capable of bending without breaking. Feel the sensation of your body becoming lighter, less rigid. Release the tension held in the neck and the shoulders. These are the places where we usually brace ourselves against the winds of life. Let them soften now. Let the head feel heavy, the neck relaxed, ready to bow slightly if necessary. The sound of the grove returns to a low, sustained whisper. The wind has passed, leaving behind a profound stillness, a sense of quiet accomplishment. The bamboo stands taller now, not because it resisted, but because it endured through flexibility. Let us explore the texture of the air again. It is cool and moist, carrying the deep, earthy smell of the forest floor after the wind has churned the lower atmosphere. Inhale this stillness. Feel the moisture settling on your skin, cooling the brow. Bring your attention to the hands. They may have been clenched or held tense. Now, let the fingers unfurl, softening the palms. Imagine your hands becoming as pliable as the bamboo stalks, capable of flexing and yielding without strain. They rest heavy and warm now, sinking into the surface beneath them. The heart rate is steady, slow, a deep and reliable drumbeat echoing the quiet endurance of the grove. With each beat, imagine a tiny, gentle sway in your own core, a subtle, rhythmic flexibility. We practice this non-resistance in the small things now. If you hear a distracting sound, a distant car, the settling of the house, do not push it away. That effort is resistance. Instead, let the sound be the wind. Allow your awareness to bend toward the sound, acknowledge its presence completely, and then, as the sound fades, allow your awareness to rise gently back to the quiet center, whole, and undisturbed. If a distracting thought about the day ahead or the past arrives, do not scold the mind. Let the thought be the gust. Bend low to it, see it clearly, accept its existence, and then, as the energy of the thought passes, allow the mind to straighten, returning to the vertical focus of the present moment. The true strength of the bamboo lies in its hollowness. It is not solid, it is empty within. This emptiness allows the wind to pass through and around it, reducing the surface area of resistance. In the same way, we practice creating space or hollowness within the mind. We let go of the need to fill every moment with thought, planning, or reaction. This internal emptiness is not a void, it is a repository of flexibility and calm. It is the silent space that allows the bending to occur without snapping. Let your mind feel hollow now, open, receptive. Whatever enters, a sound, a sensation, a memory, is simply received, acknowledged, and allowed to pass through the empty space. We sit now in the deep green stillness of the grove, immersed in the quiet aftermath of the storm. The wind is gone entirely. The air is thick with silence, broken only by the occasional, gentle clack of two stalks settling into their upright positions. Imagine your spine now as one of these magnificent stalks, rooted deep in the earth, flexible at every node, capable of bowing deeply, yet always returning to its central, calm equilibrium. Feel the deep relaxation spreading through your lower body. The hips are heavy, grounded, rooted securely in the soft earth. The legs are relaxed, releasing any residual tension they might have held from the day. They are now still, pliable, sinking down into the quiet. The mist, which has hung heavy around us, begins to subtly shift. It is not lifting but dissolving, softening the edges of the world. The green light deepens, becoming richer, more saturating. We draw in a slow, deep breath, feeling the cool air travel down, expanding the lower abdomen, nurturing the deep roots of our being. And we release the breath slowly, completely, yielding every last trace of tension, surrendering it to the quiet earth beneath us. Inhale, patience. Exhale, resistance. Let the body become profoundly heavy now. The wisdom of the bamboo is complete. We have learned that strength is not found in rigidity, but in the capacity to flow. As you drift now, let the image of the bamboo remain soft in the background of your awareness. It is your silent guardian, your constant teacher. If a final, urgent thought attempts to disturb them, peace. Simply bow to it. Let the thought push your awareness gently down toward the deep, restful earth. Acknowledge it without argument, and then allow your mind to rise again, slowly, effortlessly, back into the vertical silence. The only remaining movement is the gentle rising and falling of your own chest, harmonizing with the quiet, enduring rhythm of the grove. The air is still, heavy, and deeply peaceful. You are rooted, you are flexible, you are whole. Sinking now, deeper into the earth, deeper into the quiet, allowing the gentle green stillness of the bamboo grove to guide you toward profound rest. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hold on to. Only the slow, steady descent into stillness. Rest now in the wisdom of the bend. The empty cup. The breath, which has been your anchor through the earlier currents of worry, now begins to deepen its work. It is not just the air that moves, but the very sense of space within the body that begins to expand. Feel the slight, persistent pressure that often resides just behind the forehead, the subtle weight of unexamined thought. A faint, almost imperceptible heaviness, like dust settled upon the surface of a still pool. This weight is the accumulation of the day's resistance, the small struggles, the arguments held only in the mind, the plans that insisted on a certain outcome. We hold these things not in our hands, but in the tension of our shoulders, in the clenching of our teeth, and in the constant, churning activity of the judging mind. Tonight, we turn our attention to the art of non-resistance, which is not weakness, but the profound strength of creating space. It is the wisdom of the empty vessel. Imagine, if you will, the mind as a pristine porcelain cup. For days, perhaps for months, you have been filling this cup. You have poured in opinions, anxieties, expectations, and the strong, bitter brew of self-criticism. The cup is not only full, it is brimming, and the surface tension barely holds the liquid from spilling over. There is no room left for anything new, no capacity to receive the simple, clear offering of peace. This is the very essence of a well-known Zen tale, often shared to illustrate the folly of a mind that believes it already knows everything. A learned professor, renowned for his knowledge and his exhaustive study of various philosophies, traveled a great distance to meet a Zen master. The professor sought the master's wisdom, hoping to add Zen to his already vast library of understanding. When he finally arrived, the master welcomed him warmly and offered him tea. The master began to pour the tea into the professor's cup. The professor watched, satisfied, as the amber liquid rose slowly in the delicate white porcelain. The master continued to pour, even after the cup was full. The tea spilled over the rim, cascading onto the saucer, then onto the table, finally dripping onto the straw mat below. The professor, startled, cried out, "Stop! It is full! No more will go in!" The master set down the teapot and looked calmly at the professor. "Precisely," he said. "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? Let that image settle deeply within your own internal landscape. The sound of the tea spilling over the edge, the wasteful overflow of energy, the exhaustion of holding too much. Now, apply this wisdom to the space between your ribs, to the core of your being. Feel the subtle internal resistance to this moment of stillness. The mind, like the professor, insists that it must be full of problems, full of memories, full of preparation for tomorrow. We must become willing to empty the cup. Start by allowing the contents of your mind to simply drain away. This is not a forceful act of cleaning, but a gentle tilt of the vessel. Imagine the thoughts, the anxieties, the rigid schedules, and the small, clinging fears as liquid clinging to the porcelain walls. As you tilt the cup, allow the liquid to flow out, not with regret or analysis, but with simple release. Feel the sensation of this draining process moving down through your body. The pressure behind your eyes softens, the weight in the crown of your head begins to dissipate, leaving behind a lightness, a spaciousness that feels unfamiliar and clean. The tension in your jaw, held so tightly throughout the day as you processed information and held your opinions, now loosens its grip. The muscles relax, the teeth slightly separate, and a wave of warmth flows down the sides of your neck, releasing the physical residue of mental saturation. This emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a sanctuary to be cherished. It is the space required for true rest. As the mind empties, the body becomes profoundly receptive. Focus on your chest cavity, the great, expansive area where breath resides. Often, we carry the weight of worry right here, a tight knot that restricts the full movement of the diaphragm. Now, consciously invite that space to become vast and hollow. Imagine your ribs as the delicate scaffolding of a great, empty cathedral. The air enters and leaves, sweeping through the arches, echoing with silence. There is no resistance here. There is no need to hold on to the last breath or rush toward the next. There is only the flowing, effortless presence of the current moment. With each exhale, visualize a small piece of mental clutter dissolving and drifting away, like a wisp of smoke rising from a dying ember. The chest lightens. The shoulders, which may have been slightly hunched forward in a posture of protection or defense, Now gently roll back, settling heavily and solidly into the surface beneath you. Feel the lightness in your arms. The hands, which have grasped and manipulated objects all day, now rest open, palms subtly upturned, or simply lying flat and relaxed. Notice the space between your fingers. Even here the resistance is released. The muscles that allowed you to grip tight objects now soften completely, turning your hands into profoundly relaxed, open shells. They are empty. They are ready to receive the peace that flows naturally into the unoccupied space. This is the essence of non-resistance, not fighting the incoming tide, but becoming the shore, allowing the water to meet the sand and then retreat, without struggle or judgment. If a thought arises now, recognize it as simply a suggestion, a faint vibration in the empty room of your mind. Do not engage with it. Do not analyze it. Do not attempt to push it away, for that is resistance. Instead, simply observe it as a cloud passing through a boundless sky. The sky does not struggle against the cloud. It simply exists, vast and indifferent, allowing the cloud its momentary existence before it dissipates. You are the sky. Your thoughts are the passing clouds. Let the emptiness spread through your limbs. Feel the lightness in your thighs, the release of tension in your knees. The muscles of your calves, which have carried you through your day, now soften and surrender their duty. They sink, heavy and relaxed, into the cushion or mattress below. There is a profound freedom in being empty. When the cup is empty, it is resilient. It is not weighed down by its contents. It is ready to receive whatever pure, nourishing substance is offered next. Tonight, the substance offered is deep, restorative sleep. To receive it fully, you must be utterly empty of the need to control the outcome. You must be empty of the review of the past day and empty of the anticipation of the next. Imagine the cool, clear water of a mountain spring. When the cup is empty, it can be lowered into the spring and filled instantly with the refreshing water. If the cup is full of stale, muddy water, the spring water cannot enter. Tonight, be the empty cup, poised beneath the spring of stillness. Feel the subtle shift in your breathing now. It has become so gentle, so quiet, that it is almost imperceptible. The air moves in and out of the empty cavity of your chest, a soft, rhythmic tide that requires no effort, no direction. It simply flows, perfectly guided by the body's innate wisdom. This flow is non-resistance in action. The breath does not fight to enter. It simply accepts the invitation of the empty lungs. The breath does not cling when it leaves. It simply allows itself to be released back into the atmosphere. Allow your entire being to adopt this quality of flowing emptiness. If you feel a twitch of muscle, do not resist it. Let it twitch and fade. If you hear a distant sound, do not resist it. Let it enter the empty space of your awareness and pass through. You are not fighting the world. You are simply allowing yourself to exist within it, unburdened by the need to hold or control. The feeling of profound lightness begins to settle in your core, paradoxically balanced by the deep, gravitational pull of your body sinking into the support beneath it. The head is light, the mind is clear, the chest is open. You have created the necessary space. You have emptied the cup. Rest now in the understanding that this space, this lightness, is your natural state. When we are full of clinging thoughts and resistance, we feel heavy, anxious, and burdened. When we release them, we become buoyant, expansive, and free. Let the wisdom of the empty cup guide you now into a deeper state of surrender. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hold. The vessel is clean, clear, and perfectly poised to receive the tranquility that now washes over you. Settle deeper into the stillness. Allow the current of relaxation to flow unimpeded, filling every newly emptied space with profound peace. You are ready. You are empty. You are at rest, floating on the surface. The water awaits, a vast, silent mirror reflecting only the soft, endless grey of the sky. This is not the cold, shocking plunge of the mountain stream, nor the turbulent, churning chaos of the open ocean. This is the sheltered cove of absolute acceptance, a body of water heated by the sun and held steady by the surrounding earth, offering a profound, unwavering stability. You step toward the edge of this liquid expanse, and the subtle shift in air temperature tells you the water is perfectly calibrated to the warmth of your own skin. It promises not refreshment, but integration. There is no resistance here, only welcome. You allow your body to enter this element, slowly, deliberately, not pushing or rushing the process. First the toes, feeling the silken texture beneath the sole, then the ankles, where the first gentle pressure of the water begins to rise. It is an embrace, firm yet yielding, a presence that reminds you of the supportive nature of existence itself. As you lower yourself fully, the surface rises to meet the neck, and then, with a final, slow breath, you turn onto your back, surrendering the vertical posture that defines effort and control. The moment of transition is crucial. For a brief instant, the body resists, accustomed to the fight against gravity, the need to hold itself upright, the ingrained memory of striving. The muscles of the neck tense slightly, the jaw clenches, ready to initiate the swim, the paddle, the escape. But you remember the lesson of non-resistance. You are not here to swim, you are here to be held. You breathe out slowly, a long, quiet sigh that dissipates into the air, and with that exhale, you release the last conscious effort to support yourself. Immediately, the water responds. It rises beneath you, an invisible, dense cradle. The buoyancy is astonishing. It is not just holding you, it is lifting you, distributing your weight so evenly across the entire length of your form that the concept of weight itself begins to dissolve. Feel the water pressing gently against the back of your neck, calves, lifting the heavy bones of your shins. Feel the support beneath the broad expanse of your back, every vertebra, every rib perfectly suspended. The familiar pressure points that usually complain when you lie on a hard surface, the shoulders, the hips, are completely relieved. They are submerged in soft, yielding pressure, a liquid cushion that molds itself precisely to your individual contours. Focus now on the head. This is the center of thought, the seat of judgment, the heaviest part of the body to surrender. Allow the back of the skull to sink slightly into the water. Let the ears dip just below the surface line. The sound of the world instantly transforms. The sharper edges of external noise are muffled, softened, transmuted into a low, pervasive hum. The sound of silence itself dressed in the gentle wash of water against the ear canal. This internal quietude is profound, separating you effortlessly from the demands of the outer world. The chin lifts slightly toward the sky, but the neck muscles are utterly passive. Imagine the long, corded muscles running from the base of the skull down to the shoulders. These muscles spend all day fighting gravity, holding up the weight of your decisions, your worries, your plans. Now they are relieved of duty. They loosen, strand by strand, releasing the deep, habitual tension that has accumulated over weeks, months, years. Feel the difference between holding and being held. The muscles in your throat, often tightened by unspoken words or suppressed anxieties, relax so deeply that swallowing becomes a slow, deliberate, almost forgotten movement. Your arms drift slightly away from your sides, palms turned upward toward the surface. They feel heavy, substantial, yet completely supported. The water flows between your fingers, a constant, cool, silken current. There is no need to balance, no need to paddle, no need to steady yourself. The water is your stabilizer. Now, turn your attention to the sensation of warmth. The water is perfectly temperate, matching the ambient heat of your skin so closely that the boundary between the liquid and your body begins to blur. You cannot tell where the air ends and the water begins. You are dissolving into the support beneath you, becoming one with the medium that holds you. This warmth penetrates deeply. It is not a superficial heat. It is a profound, therapeutic warmth that reaches the deep fascia and the bone marrow. Feel it soothing the deep, tight musculature of the lower back, the place where we often store the fear of falling, the fear of instability. The warmth coaxes these muscles open, persuading them to release their tenacious grip. Imagine the tension in your body as tiny, clenched fists. The floating sensation is the gentle, persistent whisper that tells those fists it is safe to open. One by one, they unfurl. The tiny muscles around the eyes, the ones that hold the expression of concentration and worry, smooth out. The hinge of the jaw softens, separating the upper and lower teeth, allowing the tongue to rest heavily in the floor of the mouth. You are now a vessel of pure surrender. The great Zen master Dogen spoke of realizing the Buddha nature through the simple act of sitting, just sitting, without purpose or goal. Here, your meditation is the simple act of floating, just floating, without effort or resistance. You are learning the art of effortless action. There is a slight, almost imperceptible movement on the surface of the water. It is not a wave, but a gentle, slow, rocking motion, like the breath of the entire lake or sea. This movement is slow, rhythmic, and utterly predictable. As this gentle pulse reaches your body, you feel yourself sway, a millimeter to the left, a millimeter back to the right. The water moves you, and you move with the water. This is the essence of non-resistance. Life, like this water, is always moving. There are shifts in fortune, changes in circumstance, subtle currents of emotion and thought that pass through the mind. When we resist these currents, when we try to hold ourselves rigidly in place, we create friction and exhaustion. But here, floating, you allow the current to dictate your movement. When the water nudges you to the left, you go left. When it returns you to the right, you return. There is no struggle. There is only perfect alignment with the flow. Feel this rhythmic cradle. It is the rhythm of the universe supporting you. It is the deep, slow pulse that governs the tides, the growth of the forest, the slow rotation of the earth. You are synchronized with this ancient, reliable beat. Let your internal rhythm slow down to match the water's sway. Your breath, which may have been quick and shallow, now deepens and lengthens naturally. Inhale. The chest rises slightly, the water dips beneath you, absorbing the expansion. Exhale. The body settles deeper, heavier, the water rises to meet your weight. The breath and the buoyancy have become inseparable partners. You are breathing the water, and the water is breathing you. Now, allow the sensation of weightlessness to expand from the physical body into the mental space. If the body is fully supported, why should the mind continue to carry the burden of its thoughts? Imagine your thoughts are like tiny pebbles you have been clutching tightly in your fists. As your physical hands are now open and floating, allow those mental pebbles to drop. They sink slowly away from the surface of your consciousness, disappearing into the deep, dark, peaceful depths beneath you. You are floating on the surface of pure awareness. If a thought arises, a memory of yesterday, a plan for tomorrow, a fleeting worry, do not engage with it. Do not analyze it. Do not judge it. Simply observe it as a ripple on the water's surface. The ripple appears, moves across the expanse, and then vanishes, leaving the surface smooth and reflective once more. The key is to treat the thought like that. Water treats the ripple. With complete neutrality and immediate acceptance of its passing nature. The water does not cling to the ripple, it allows it to dissolve. You do not cling to the thought, you allow it to pass. The feeling of absolute support beneath you is constant, it is unconditional. You do not have to earn this support, you only have to accept it. This is the great teaching of the water. It holds everything without judgment. It holds the light, the darkness, the storm, and the calm. It holds you, heavy and burdened, and it lifts you effortlessly. Feel the stillness descending. It is a stillness so profound that you begin to lose track of the boundaries of your body. Your limbs feel long, distant, yet perfectly settled. Your spine is straight and relaxed, dissolved into the liquid support. Let the tension drain entirely from the soles of your feet. Often, the feet grip the earth, preparing for the next step, the next action. Now, they are simply submerged, passive, weightless. The toes are gently curled or softly splayed, feeling the subtle flow of the water around them. The great Zen poet Ryokan, when asked about the secret of a peaceful life, once said that he simply let the wind blow where it would. He did not resist the changes of weather or fortune. You are practicing this same effortless surrender now. You are the lotus, floating on the surface, rooted deeply, but allowing the petals of your being to drift wherever the gentle current takes them. Allow yourself to sink deeper into the embrace of the water, not physically sinking, but mentally dissolving into the sensation of being held. Every muscle fiber, every ligament, every nerve ending is completely relaxed, bathed in warmth and silence. The warmth is an assurance of safety. The weightlessness is a release from responsibility. The gentle rocking is the rhythm of peace. There is nothing you need to do. There is nothing you need to fix. There is nowhere you need to go. You are perfectly situated, perfectly supported, perfectly still. The mind is silent, reflecting only the vast, calm sky of your inner awareness. The body is liquid, flowing gently with the breath. Rest in this space of pure, unresisting buoyancy. Rest in the knowledge that when you stop struggling, the world steps forward to hold you. You are carried, effortlessly, toward a deep and restorative sleep. Allow the gentle, rhythmic sway to become the sole focus of your attention, guiding you deeper into the current of profound peace. You are floating. You are safe. You are completely released. The sound of silence. We rest now in a deep chamber of stillness, the body heavy and settled, the mind having released its grip on the urgent demands of the day. The practice of non-resistance, which we have applied to the weight of the limbs and the rhythm of the breath, now extends its gentle invitation to the ear. We turn our awareness toward the pervasive field of sound, inviting all auditory impressions to enter the awareness, not as disturbances to be fought, but as temporary guests to be observed and released. The silence that surrounds you is not an absence. It is a vast, receptive space, an immense ocean waiting to receive every ripple. Begin by noticing the farthest periphery of this auditory field. There may be a distant, almost imperceptible murmur, the low, steady thrum of the world continuing its journey outside the quiet walls of this room. It is a vague, shapeless noise, perhaps the friction of tires on damp asphalt miles away, or the faint, high-pitched whine of an airplane traversing the upper atmosphere. This sound, if you strain to catch it, can feel like a thread pulling the mind outward, inviting judgment. It is too loud. It is distracting. I wish it would cease. But we practice the art of allowing. We breathe into the sound. We recognize that resistance to the sound is merely the mind trying to impose its own preferred quietude onto the reality of the present moment. The sound itself is neutral. It is our reaction to it that creates friction. Imagine the mind as a still, clear pond. A sound is a tiny pebble dropped onto the surface. If the pond resists the pebble, the waters recoil violently. If the pond simply accepts the pebble, the ripple quickly expands and then vanishes, leaving the surface smooth once more. Allow the distant sounds to become integrated into the background texture of the present moment. They are simply part of the fabric of this particular night. There is no need to push them away, nor is there any need to grasp them and analyze their origin. They are passing phenomena, arising and dissolving. As you cease the internal struggle against this faint, distant hum, notice a subtle yet profound relaxation spread across the scalp and the muscles around the ears. The tiny muscles that govern the tension in the eardrum, which often brace themselves against unwanted noise, now soften and surrender. Perhaps the sound shifts. The wind, which has been a steady presence, now gathers momentum and sweeps across the roofline. It is not a harsh howl, but a long, sighing rush, a sound that is both vast and intimate. It catches the dry edges of the pine needles outside, creating a friction like brushed silk against coarse linen. The sound waxes and wanes, not a steady pressure, but a tide of air that peaks softly and then recedes completely, leaving a vacuum of immediate stillness in its wake. This is the impermanence of the auditory world made manifest. The sound arises, it stays for a moment, and it passes. If we greet it with equanimity, it does not disturb the settled core of the being. When the wind arrives, simply acknowledge its presence. Ah, the wind is here. When it departs, acknowledge its absence. Ah, the wind has gone. There is no attachment to its arrival, no longing for its return. This gentle non-judgment allows the nervous system to remain completely undisturbed. The breath remains long and deep, flowing beneath the surface of the soundscape, a subterranean river of calm. The sound of the wind becomes a lullaby, a natural rhythm of the external world, echoing the internal rhythm of the breath. Now, draw the attention closer, into the immediate vicinity of the room itself. Listen for the subtle sounds of the structure settling. The house, which seems so solid and still, is constantly adjusting to the temperature and the pressure of the night. There might be a minute creak in the floorboards, a quiet tick as a beam contracts, or the almost silent shushing sound of air moving through a vent. These sounds are often the ones that trigger the most immediate reaction. What was that? Is everything all right? They demand investigation and labeling. For this practice, we deliberately refrain from labeling. We allow the sound to be merely vibration. It is energy moving through the air and impacting the eardrum. Do not attach a story to the sound. Do not name it a creak or a tick. Simply experience the raw sensation of the auditory event. When the small, sharp sound arises, feel how quickly the mind wants to jump, to analyze, to categorize. Gently draw it back. Let the mind rest in the vastness of the silence, allowing the sound to pass through it like a flash of light through an empty space. There is a Zen saying, "When the boat is empty, no one minds when it bumps into their boat." When the mind is empty of expectation, empty of preference, empty of the desire for absolute quiet, then no sound, no matter how sharp or sudden, can cause irritation. The sound bumps against the awareness, but the awareness, being vast and empty, offers no resistance, and therefore no conflict arises. The sound simply continues its journey until it fades completely. Allow the shoulders to drop further into the surface beneath you. Feel the weight of the skull resting heavily on the pillow. As the sensory field of hearing expands and softens, the physical body responds with an immediate deepening of relaxation. The jaw unclenches. The tongue rests loose in the bottom of the mouth. The forehead smooths. All the subtle tensions held in the face, tensions often related to vigilance and listening, now melt away. Turn your attention now to the sounds that are even closer, the most intimate acoustics of your own physical presence. Listen for the ambient, low-pitched thrumming that seems to permeate the room, the sound of the house breathing its electrical life, or the low hum of the refrigerator cycling on in a distant kitchen. This sound is often pitched just below conscious recognition, yet it forms the bedrock of the auditory landscape, a steady, unwavering note that underpins the fleeting melodies of the night. Do not try to isolate it or shut it out. Welcome it as the constant, reliable drone of existence. It is not silence, but it is the sound that reveals the silence, just as darkness reveals the stars. Focus now on the sound of the breath. It is no longer a conscious effort, but a quiet, rhythmic flow. Listen to the gentle friction of the air moving past the nostrils or the throat. Perhaps you hear a faint, soft shush on the inhale and a slightly longer, softer hush on the exhale. This is the most reliable sound in your life, the marker of your ongoing presence. Listen to the texture of this sound. Is it smooth and even, or does it catch slightly at the peak of the inhalation? Do not judge, simply listen. Let the sound of the breath be the anchor that holds your awareness steady in the present moment. As the breath deepens and slows, the sounds become more internal, more personal. You may begin to perceive the faint, muffled resonance of your own heartbeat. It is not a frantic drum, but a deep, steady percussion, heard not through the ear canal, but felt through the heavy pads of the shoulders and the pillow, transmitted through the density of the bone and muscle. Thump. Pause. Thump. Each beat is a perfectly measured moment of existence, a silent clock ticking deep within the chest cavity, utterly reliable, utterly intimate. Do not try to force the sound of the heart. If you search too hard, you introduce effort, and effort is resistance. Simply wait, allowing the awareness to settle deeply into the chest and torso, and often, in that moment of profound stillness, the soft, rhythmic presence of the internal drum reveals itself. This sound is the very essence of life flowing, a deep and ancient rhythm that has accompanied you since before your birth. It is the sound of your being, and there is no need to resist it. Allow the heartbeat to become integrated into the pervasive silence. It is not separate from the silence, it arises within it and dissolves back into it. The space between the beats is the true silence, vast and infinite. The beat itself is merely the momentary punctuation mark. As we continue to practice non-resistance to all these sounds, the distant wind, the local hum, the intimate beat of the heart, a fascinating transformation occurs. The sounds cease to be individual events that grab the attention. Instead, they begin to blend and merge, dissolving their sharp edges. They become a single, unified texture, a woven tapestry of auditory presence that somehow deepens the sensation of quietude. This is the profound realization of non-resistance. When you stop fighting the noise ceases to be noisy. It becomes merely vibration, a neutral state of energy. The mind, no longer needing to judge or categorize, falls into a state of deep rest, a quietude far more profound than any forced silence could achieve. Imagine the awareness as the open sky. The sounds are clouds passing through. The sky does not cling to the clouds, nor does it push them away. It simply allows them to traverse its vastness. The sky remains unchanged, untouched by the movement of the clouds. In this moment, you are the sky. You are the space. Let the sounds wash over you. The faint, high-frequency tinnitus that might exist at the edge of hearing, the subtle rush of blood moving past the ear canal, the minute shifting of the fabric beneath your head, all these are welcome. They are not distractions. They are invitations to practice deeper acceptance. Each sound is a tiny bell reminding you, be here now. Let go of judgment. Feel the body responding to this deep auditory release. The muscles in the neck, which often brace against the world's input, now soften completely. The spine feels elongated and relaxed, melting into the supporting surface. The breath continues its slow, deep rhythm, a soft, reassuring sound that confirms the safety and stability of this moment. We rest here, in the heart of the soundscape, finding the silence that resides not in the absence of noise, but in the cessation of reaction. The true silence is internal, a quality of mind that remains undisturbed regardless of the input. It is the vast, receptive field of pure awareness. If a sudden, sharp sound occurs, a cough, a distant siren, a door closing, notice the immediate instinctual jump of the nervous system. That is the old habit of resistance. Do not judge the jump. Simply observe it, breathe into it, and allow the tension it created to dissipate immediately. Do not chase the sound with your thoughts. Do not replay it. Let it be a single event that arose and vanished. Return immediately to the deep, steady anchor of the breath and the welcoming space of the open awareness. The practice is not about achieving quietude. It is about befriending the noise. As you befriend the noise, you befriend the flow of life itself, recognizing that life is always in motion, always changing, always producing new sounds and new sensations. Your ability to remain still and centered amidst this ceaseless change is the essence of inner peace. Let the sounds of the night cradle you. They are the natural song of the universe, and you are perfectly positioned to receive this symphony without needing to conduct it or edit it. The hum of the machine, the rustle of the leaves, the deep thump of the heart. They are all integrated now, forming a single, seamless blanket of auditory experience that draws you deeper and deeper into relaxation. The mind is quiet, the body is heavy, and the ears are open, yet deeply at peace. There is nowhere to go and nothing left to do. Simply rest, allowing the sounds to carry you further into the quiet depths of the present moment. The silence you seek is already here, encompassing all things. Allow yourself to dissolve into this vast, welcoming quietude. The journey towards sleep is now effortless, guided by the very sounds you once thought were obstacles. They have become the current that carries you home. The pathless path. The journey has brought us to a surface unlike any other, a terrain of pure, yielding presence. We stand now, not upon hard-packed earth or jagged stone, but upon a vast, undulating carpet of ancient forest moss. Here, the sole of the foot finds utter reprieve, sinking into a texture that defies the memory of hardness or friction. We release the structure of the shoe, the confinement of the sock, allowing the skin of the sole, that often ignored sensor, to make intimate contact with the cool, living velvet of the forest floor. There is no urgency in this transition, only the slow, deliberate unfolding of the toes, the arch, and the heel, settling fully into the deep emerald cushion. Feel the initial shock of the coolness, not icy but profoundly refreshing, like water drawn from a shaded well. This coolness seeps upward, traveling instantly through the delicate web of nerves, past the ankle, dissolving any residual heat or tension held in the calves. The moss is spongier than any manufactured foam. It is a matrix of life, damp with the breath of the earth itself, saturated with the quiet energy of decay and rebirth. With the first intentional step, the foot sinks. It does not merely rest upon the surface, it is received by it. The sensation is one of profound welcome. The millions of tiny, interwoven filaments of the moss compress with a silent, sighing pressure, molding perfectly to the unique contours of your soul. You can feel the slight variations in temperature, cooler where the shade is deepest, slightly warmer where a stray shaft of sunlight has recently touched the canopy above. We walk now without destination. The concept of a goal, a point on the horizon, or an expected outcome is gently lifted and allowed to dissolve into the humid air. This is the pathless path, where the act of walking is the entirety of the journey, and the purpose is fulfilled in the simple, rhythmic placement of one foot before the other. Each step is an exercise in non-resistance. As the heel touches the moss, allow the weight of the body to transfer fully, without hesitation, without bracing for impact. The earth below us is trustworthy. It will support us completely. We release the ingrained habit of holding back, of reserving energy for the unknown challenges ahead. There are no challenges ahead, only the next soft step. We synchronize the movement with the breath. As the body shifts forward, the breath draws in, slow and deep, pulling the cool, clean scent of the forest into the lungs, the rich, loamy perfume of damp soil and ancient cedar. As the foot lifts, the breath releases, soft and long, a gentle sibilance that mirrors the silence around us. Inhale. The foot rises, light as a feather, detached from expectation. The foot settles, heavy with presence, fully committed to the immediate moment. Notice the quality of the sound this movement produces. There is no crunch, no scrape, no slap. Only a deep, pervasive silence, occasionally broken by the soft, muffled thud of the soul being swallowed by the moss. This silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of deep rest, sound of the world holding its breath in reverence for the present. As we walk, allow the awareness to travel slowly up the body, checking for any pockets of unnecessary tension. Are the shoulders still lifted, braced against an imagined burden? Let them drop, heavy and relaxed, their weight sinking into the spine. Is the jaw clenched, ready to speak or argue? Let it slacken, the teeth slightly apart, the tongue resting softly in the mouth. The pathless path demands nothing of us except our presence. It asks us to surrender the mental maps we constantly draw, the shoulds, the musts, the hypothetical routes to happiness. The Zen master knows that the moment you seek the path, you are already off it. The path is not something to be found, it is the space created by the walking. Reflect on the nature of the river. Does the river worry about its destination? Does it fret about the rocks in its way, or the bends in its course? No, it simply flows. It meets the resistance and flows around it, over it, or through it, always maintaining its essential nature. Its destination is inherent in its movement. We become the river now. Our movement is fluid, unhurried, inevitable. There is a deep internal rhythm that governs this walking, separate from the frantic pace of the external world. We move at the speed of the forest, the speed of the moss growing, the speed of the light filtering through the canopy, a speed measured in seasons, not seconds. Feel the subtle texture beneath the feet, the occasional slickness of a particularly saturated patch, the slightly firmer resistance of a hidden root structure, the delicate, almost imperceptible prickle of tiny, ancient ferns beginning their ascent through the moss. This contact is a form of deep communication, a grounding conversation between the living earth and the receptive self. The path ahead is not illuminated by a guiding light or a signpost. It is simply a continuation of the space we occupy. We do not look 3 steps ahead, we only feel the one step we are currently taking. This radical focus on the immediate sensation prevents the mind from spinning forward into worry or backward into regret. When the mind inevitably attempts to insert a goal, where are we going? When will this end? Gently redirect it. Bring the attention back, fiercely and lovingly, to the soles of the feet. Let the sensation of the cool, damp moss be the anchor. This is where we are. This is all there is. In this deep forest quiet, the breath becomes the most profound sound. Listen to the gentle, rhythmic friction of the air moving in and out of the body. It is a sound of absolute life, a constant, effortless affirmation of existence. The body breathes itself. We do not have to force it, just as the moss grows itself and the river flows itself. Imagine that with every exhalation, you are releasing a tiny, invisible string that had been tethering you to a future expectation. Let the need for success, the fear of failure, the desire for definition, all of it, unspool and dissolve into the forest air. You are unbound. This feeling of being unbound is not a feeling of floating aimlessly, but rather of being profoundly rooted without being restricted. The roots of the trees beneath the moss hold the earth together, giving it stability, yet the branches reach freely toward the sky. We embody that paradox, grounded stability paired with effortless expansion. The light here is muted, a deep, resonant green that permeates the air. It is the color of deep peace, the color of ancient wisdom. As you inhale, imagine drawing this serene green light into your body, letting it wash over the internal landscapes, soothing any lingering anxieties. This pathless journey is a realization of the teaching. We are always already here. We do not need to arrive. The peace we seek is not a treasure hidden at the end of a long, arduous trek. It is the very ground beneath our feet, revealed when we stop searching. The weight of the world, the heavy cloak of responsibility, dissolves in the cool dampness of the moss. Feel the muscles of the back softening, releasing their protective shell. The spine is long and supple, no longer rigid with defensive posture. We walk with a vulnerability that is also our greatest strength, the strength of openness. Consider the Zen parable of the empty boat. A man is rowing a boat across a lake. Another boat, seemingly empty, drifts quickly down the current and bumps into his. The man becomes enraged, ready to shout at the careless person who caused the collision. But when he looks, he sees that the boat is truly empty. His anger instantly vanishes. In this pathless walk, we realize that most of the obstacles we perceive, the resistance we feel, are merely empty boats bumping into us. They are projections of our own need for control, our own expectation of how the flow should be. By releasing the need for a fixed path, we stop bracing for the bump. We allow the current to move us, trusting the inherent intelligence of life. The sensation of the moss grows deeper, more intimate. It is now less a texture and more a gentle hum, a vibrational frequency that aligns with the deepest stillness within your core. You are not just walking on the moss, you are merging with the rhythm of the earth's slow, steady rotation. Your feet are perfect instruments of surrender. They are releasing the need to grip, the need to push, the need to hurry. They move with an ancient, inherent grace, stepping only when the balance is complete, lifting only when the energy is fully transferred. If the mind drifts, imagining futures or planning tomorrow, gently call it back by focusing on the point where the heel meets the cushion. Feel the exact moment of compression, the slow give, the supportive firmness beneath the yielding surface. Use the physical sensation as the constant, reliable tether to the present. This is the ultimate relaxation, the release of responsibility for the outcome. We are simply the instrument of the flow. The journey is guaranteed, not by effort, but by surrender. Allow the breath to become slightly shallower now, effortlessly sustaining the body. The deep, cleansing breaths have done their work. Now the body settles into a state of minimal effort, maximal efficiency. The movement of the chest is soft, almost imperceptible. The light in the forest deepens, the shadows lengthen, not with menace, but with a profound, enveloping softness. The air itself feels heavy with peace. This is the confirmation that we have arrived, not at a destination, but at the realization that we were never truly lost. The feeling of the moss under the feet is now a warm, comforting pressure, a constant reminder of the solid, supportive presence of the earth. We are held. We are safe. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. We take one final, slow, deliberate step, allowing the foot to settle into the moss with a sense of finality, yet also boundless openness. The journey of searching is over. The journey of simply being begins now. Let the body become profoundly heavy, rooted to this spot, yet light in spirit. The shoulders are completely relaxed, the spine is soft, the face is smooth, free of any expression of effort or concern. The peace is deep and pervasive, a quiet assurance that permeates every cell. We rest completely in this moment, held by the pathless path, confirmed by the unwavering support of the earth beneath us. We are home. We are still. We are ready to rest, merging with the dusk. We arrive now at the edge of the world's waking awareness, where the final, faint boundaries of the day begin their complete and silent dissolution. This moment, this precise seam between consciousness and deep rest, requires nothing from you but the softest permission. You have traveled far through the landscape of the mind, and now the path itself becomes the destination, flowing effortlessly into the vast, dark ocean of night. Allow your gaze, even behind closed lids, to drift toward the imaginary horizon. This horizon is not a line drawn in harsh charcoal, but a gradual, exquisite blending of violet and charcoal dust. It is the place where the sky finally surrenders its memory of the sun. Observe how the light does not merely fade, but rather it is absorbed, molecule by molecule, by the deepening velvet of the sky. The final sliver of apricot light clinging to the western edge is not extinguished, but rather drawn inward, like a single thread of gold being slowly pulled back into an infinite spool of indigo silk. Watch the edges of that gold thread fray and dissipate, losing its sharp definition, allowing the coolness of the approaching night to soften its geometry until the memory of color is all that remains. This fading horizon mirrors the softening boundaries of your own awareness. The sharp edges of yesterday's worries, defined contours of tomorrow's plans, these too are losing their rigidity, becoming indistinct shapes melting into the pervasive stillness. You are allowing the effort of definition to cease. You are letting the effort of holding form simply dissolve. Feel the profound weight settling into your body. It is not the weight of burden, but the beautiful gravitational pull of peace. Imagine your limbs growing heavier, rooted deeply into the earth beneath you, drawing stability and unmoving stillness from the very core of the planet. Your shoulders, which might have held the tension of 1,000 small decisions, are sinking now, releasing their grip on the air. They are spreading out, widening, easing away from the neck, finding a new, luxurious space where tension cannot reside. The small muscles around your eyes, those tireless sentinels that have monitored the world for countless hours, are finally relaxing their vigil. They are becoming profoundly heavy, weighted not with fatigue, but with the irresistible promise of rest. Feel the smooth, cool surface of your eyelids gently pressing against the delicate curve of your eyeballs. There is no need for sight now. All the visual data of the world is receding, and you are welcoming the deep, comforting darkness that blankets the inner landscape. With every slow, deliberate outbreath, imagine that you are releasing a tiny anchor that had been holding you to the surface of waking thought. The breath moves like a slow, deep current, pulling you further down, further inward. Inhale the vast, silent peace that the twilight brings. Exhale the last, lingering echoes of the day's noise. The ancient teachers speak of the mind as a clear pool. When the wind of thought blows across the surface, the image of the moon is fragmented and distorted. But as the wind dies down, the surface becomes perfectly still, and the moon's reflection shines whole and complete. You are entering that stillness now. The wind of thought is slowing, becoming a barely perceptible whisper. Do not resist the ripples that still appear. Do not try to aggressively smooth the surface. Simply observe the ripples as they soften, diminish, and finally flatten into the perfect mirror of calm. The very act of noticing them, without judging them, is what allows them to pass. Shift your attention now to the slow, steady drumbeat of your heart, a rhythm that has sustained you through every moment of your life. It is the most reliable, most ancient timekeeper within your being. It is slowing down, deepening its cadence, synchronizing with the grand, unhurried rhythm of the turning earth. Feel the pulse, not as a rapid flutter of anxiety, but as a vast, powerful, slow wave moving through your chest. Thrum. Pause. Thrum. Pause. Let the space between the beats become significant. That pause is the moment of pure silence, the space of infinite potential. Rest in that pause. Lengthen that pause with your breath. Inhale slowly, filling the space. Exhale slowly, deepening the pause. Imagine that your heart is a great bronze bell, struck only once every minute. The sound waves are enormous, slow, and resonant, moving outward through your entire body, vibrating peace into every cell, every fiber, every nerve ending. The sound is so deep, it is almost below the threshold of hearing. It is felt more than it is heard. A slow, grounding vibration that pulls you down into the earth's embrace. This is the art of non-resistance. You are not fighting the wave of sleep. You are merging with the tide. You are not pushing away the remaining thoughts. You are watching them drift away like the last wisps of smoke from a distant fire. They are harmless, fading, lacking the energy to hold your attention. Consider the metaphor of the empty boat. A fisherman is asleep in his boat, drifting down a river. Another empty boat, propelled by the current, bumps into his. If the fisherman wakes up and sees the boat is empty, he feels no anger, no frustration. He simply pushes it away and goes back to sleep. If he believes the boat is steered by a careless person, he erupts in rage. Your thoughts are often like that empty boat. They have no pilot, no malicious intent, yet we often assign them an importance they do not possess. As you lie here, realize that the thoughts that still bump against the edge of your mind are empty boats. They are propelled only by the residual current of the day. Do not assign them a captain. Do not give them a destination. Simply watch them drift past the periphery of your awareness, recognizing their emptiness, and let them go. There is nothing to be done about them. There is nowhere they need to go. The twilight deepens now into true night, a rich, protective blanket of black velvet sprinkled with the distant, cold diamonds of the cosmos. The air around you feels cool and still, but the space beneath your covering is exquisitely warm, a perfect envelope of comfort. Feel the soft texture of the sheets against your skin, the gentle pressure of the blanket across your chest and legs. This tactile sensation is the final anchor to the present moment, a soft reminder that you are safe, secure, and utterly supported. Allow your entire body to become liquid and heavy. Imagine that every muscle fiber, every tendon, every ligament is loosening its hold, melting away from the bone. Your body is becoming a soft, yielding mass, perfectly molded to the surface beneath you. The spine, which has held you upright all day, is now resting, gently curving, releasing the cumulative compression of gravity. Feel the relief wash through your back, spreading like warm oil from the base of the skull all the way down to the tailbone. Your breathing is now so slow, so effortless, that it feels almost unnecessary. It is a subtle, gentle exchange with the universe. The inhale is a slow, cool intake of peace. The exhale is a long, warm sigh of release. The breath is taking care of itself. You do not need to manage it, control it, or worry about it. It is the perfect expression of the life force flowing through you, effortlessly and eternally. As the mind prepares for the final descent, the images that surface may become fragmented, dreamlike, or nonsensical. This is the natural sorting process, the final flicker of the day's mental residue. Do not engage with these images. Do not try to label them or find meaning in them. They are simply the smoke of the day, dissolving into the air. Let them drift, let them blur, let them disappear. Your eyes are now so deeply relaxed, so profoundly heavy, that the very thought of opening them seems utterly impossible. They are sinking back into the soft cushions of their sockets, finding the deepest point of rest. The muscles around the temples are smooth and relaxed. The jaw is slack, the lips gently parted, the tongue resting heavily and silently on the floor of the mouth. You are becoming one with the deep silence of the night. The silence is not an absence of sound, but the presence of vast, all-encompassing peace. It is the sound of the universe resting. Listen closely, and you might perceive the faint, distant hum of the earth itself, a low-frequency vibration that matches the deepest rhythm of your heart. Let your consciousness begin to soften, like sugar dissolving in warm water. The boundaries are blurring. Where does the self end and the darkness begin? Where does the breath stop and the silence start? These questions are no longer relevant. You are dissolving into the moment, merging with the dusk. The final act of surrender is the cessation of observation. You are letting go of the need to watch yourself fall asleep. You are allowing the current to simply take you. The effort of being awake is now too great, and the reward of rest is too profound. Imagine yourself floating on a vast, calm lake under the deepest night sky. The water is perfectly still, black and reflective. You are entirely supported by this water, weightless and secure. Above you, the stars are beginning their slow, majestic drift across the heavens. You are not moving. The cosmos is moving around you. Feel the final wave of profound relaxation wash over you, starting at the crown of your head, cascading down through the temples, flowing over the cheeks, pooling in the chest, spreading through the abdomen, and finally draining out through the tips of your fingers and toes, carrying away the very last traces of wakefulness. You are safe. You are held. You are resting. Allow the gentle current of sleep to embrace you fully now. Let the deep, slow rhythm of your heart lead you across the threshold. The mind is ready to release its grip. The body is ready to rest completely. The darkness is soft. The silence is absolute. Drift now. Surrender to the deep, beautiful sleep that awaits you. Nothing remains but peace. The horizon has dissolved. You are merging with the dusk. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Measure initiation. The river of life flows ceaselessly, carrying both the light and the shadow. Often we exhaust ourselves trying to paddle against the current, resisting the very movement that defines existence. But the path to peace is found not in struggle, but in surrender. Tonight, we turn inward, softening the edges of our resistance until we become one with the gentle, inevitable flow. We release the oars, trusting the silent wisdom of the water to carry us safely. This journey is a descent into stillness, where the mind, like a deep mountain lake, reflects only the perfect, undisturbed nature of the sky. Let the earth hold you, let the air breathe you, and let every tension dissolve into the vast, open space of the present moment. We are ready now to witness the exquisite art of non-resistance. The journey has reached its destination, not a place found on any map, but the deep, quiet center of your own being. Every effort has been released, every resistance dissolved into the soft, surrounding air. There is only the weight of the body now, a satisfying, complete heaviness, anchoring you to the safety of the earth beneath. Feel this security, this profound rootedness, as the final layer of awareness begins to soften and thin. The sensation of the surface beneath you is everything. It is a vast, immovable plane of comfort, rising up to meet every contour and curve of your form. Notice the way the mattress yields just enough, creating a gentle cradle for the hips, the shoulders, the subtle hollows behind the knees. This is the earth's embrace, unconditional and eternal. You are not simply lying down, you are being held. You are being supported entirely, without reservation, without any requirement of effort from you. Allow the weight of your skull to deepen into the pillow. Imagine the pillow itself is made of cool, finely milled silk, filled with the softest down, or perhaps ancient, fragrant cedar shavings. Whatever sensation brings you the most profound sense of luxurious comfort. Feel the subtle pressure points where the head meets this softness, at the base of the neck, behind the ears. As the head settles, The tension that often clings to the jaw and the temples simply drains away, like water seeping into dry sand. The muscles of the face are completely slack, smooth and heavy. The brow is wide and unfurrowed, an expanse of peaceful, unwritten space. Let the warmth of the blanket pool over your chest and abdomen. This warmth is not merely physical, it is the warmth of safety, the assurance that you are protected from the outside world. It is a dense, enveloping heat that sinks through the skin, past the muscle, and into the very core of your bones. Imagine this warmth is a slow, golden honey, spreading from the center of your torso outwards, reaching the tips of your fingers and the soles of your feet. Focus on the hands. They rest open or gently curled, utterly useless for the moment. And this uselessness is a gift. The palms are warm, perhaps slightly damp with relaxation. Trace the path of the warmth down the length of the forearms, noticing the subtle pulse that beats beneath the skin. A gentle, rhythmic reminder that life continues effortlessly without your management. The elbows are heavy, resting deeply, their sharp angles softened by the yielding surface. Move your attention now to the lower half of the body. The legs are two separate, weighty columns of stillness. They are so heavy they feel almost detached, yet perfectly connected to the central stability of your core. Feel the deep, satisfying pressure where the backs of the thighs meet the surface. The knees are loose, the joints unlocked and pliable. There is no need for them to bear weight, no need for them to move. They are simply resting, resting, resting. The warmth travels down, pooling around the ankles and the feet. The feet, which have carried you through the day's resistance and movement, are now granted absolute repose. Feel the gentle weight of the blanket over the arches and the toes. Each toe is separate, distinct, and completely still. Imagine the slight tingle of warmth reaching the very tips of the nails, signifying complete, unburdened relaxation throughout the entire structure of the body. This is the art of non-resistance made manifest in the physical form. You are not battling gravity, you are cooperating with it fully. You are not fighting the urge to stay awake, you are simply allowing the natural, inevitable tide of fatigue to wash over you. The body is yielding to its own deepest desire for rest. Now, turn your attention back to the breath, which is the finest instrument of non-resistance. It is no longer a tool you manipulate. It is a gentle wave that moves you. Observe the breath's profound autonomy. You do not need to command the inhale, it simply arrives, a soft expansion at the base of the ribs. You do not need to push the exhale, it simply releases, a quiet sigh of letting go. Feel the slow, smooth rise of the abdomen on the inhale, a dome of gentle expansion. The diaphragm dips, pulling the life-giving air deep into the lungs. And then, the effortless, silent descent on the exhale. The abdomen softens back toward the spine, releasing everything it no longer needs. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, surrender. Each breath is slower than the last, longer, deeper, yet requires less and less effort. It is becoming a whisper of air, almost imperceptible at the nostrils. Imagine the air flowing in is cool, clean, and carrying the scent of night-blooming jasmine and damp earth. The air flowing out carries all remaining tension, warm and diffused, disappearing instantly into the darkness. This breath is your anchor to the present moment, and the present moment is entirely safe. There is no past to regret, no future to plan, only this rhythmic, perfect cycle of receiving and releasing. Recall the Zen parable of the two monks and the woman crossing the river. The younger monk was troubled when the elder monk, without hesitation, carried a beautiful woman across the muddy stream, an action forbidden by their vows. Hours later, the younger monk finally burst out, How could you carry that woman? It is against our rules." The elder monk smiled gently and replied, "I set her down at the riverbank. Are you still carrying her?" This story is the essence of non-resistance. You have carried the burdens of the day, the small anxieties, the lingering tasks, the harsh words, but you are now at the riverbank of sleep. It is time to set them down. Do not carry the day's weight into the night's rest. With every exhale, imagine you are physically placing down one small, heavy stone of worry. Set down the anxiety about tomorrow's meeting. Set down the memory of the mistake you made this afternoon. Set down the need to control the outcome of anything. You are simply resting. The world outside will continue to turn, the stars will continue their silent paths, and the river of life will continue to flow, entirely independent of your efforts. Your only task now is to be still, to trust the flow, and to rest. The mind, which has been seeking resolution all day, is now invited to become the ultimate expression of non-resistance, the empty sky. Imagine the vastness above you, a deep, royal blue-black, infinite and clear. Any thought that arises is merely a tiny, wispy cloud drifting across this immensity. Do not try to stop the clouds. Do not try to analyze them. Do not chase them. Simply observe their movement, recognizing that they are ephemeral, temporary, and have no substance. They are not you. They are not your reality. They are just passing weather in the vast, still atmosphere of your awareness. If a cloud of worry appears, watch it drift. If a cloud of planning appears, watch it drift. If a cloud of judgment appears, watch it drift. You are the sky itself, unmoved, unchanging, perfect in your stillness. The sky does not resist the clouds, it simply contains them until they dissipate into nothingness. You are containing your thoughts until they dissolve back into the silence from which they arose. This absolute stillness in the mind allows the deepest, most restorative peace to settle. Your body is now a vessel of profound quiet. The heart rate is slow and steady, a soft, muffled drumbeat deep within the chest. The blood flows smoothly, cooling and calming every nerve ending. Feel the profound safety that comes from this surrender. When you cease fighting, you cease suffering. When you stop resisting the present moment, you find that the present moment is always soft, always supportive, always ready to hold you. Imagine yourself now not just resting on the earth, but sinking gently into it. You are becoming one with the soft, fertile ground. You are rooted, like the great Bodhi tree, unshakable and profoundly stable. The earth is warm beneath you, a source of silent, ancient energy. Feel the slight, comforting hum of the planet beneath your stillness. This feeling of being held is the ultimate letting go. There is nothing left to do. The day's tasks are completed, or they have been peacefully postponed. The mind is clear, or it is gently drifting toward clarity. The body is heavy, warm, and entirely relaxed. We move now toward the final, seamless transition into deep, dreamless sleep. This is the moment where awareness softens and dissolves like sugar in warm water. The edges of your hearing blur. The sounds of the night, the distant wind, the quiet settling of the house become part of the silence, not interruptions to it. The lotus of your awareness, which bloomed in the stillness, is now fully open, revealing the pure, dark center. This center is the source of all rest, the wellspring of deep restoration. Sink into this center. Imagine you are floating on a vast, silent lake under the canopy of the empty sky. The water is perfectly still, reflecting the infinite darkness above. You are completely buoyant, supported entirely by the water's surface. There is no effort to stay afloat. The water holds you effortlessly. Feel yourself drifting, slowly, gently, toward the far shore of sleep. The movement is so subtle, it is barely perceptible. Yet you know you are moving deeper. further away from the shores of wakefulness. Each breath is now a soft, internal hum. The eyes behind the lids are perfectly still, resting in their sockets. The optic nerves are quiet, the brain waves are slowing, lengthening into the restorative rhythm of deep rest. You are entering the great silence. You are entering the space where the self is fully restored, replenished, and renewed. You are safe. You are warm. You are held. Let the final threads of thought unravel and disappear. Let the mind become the silent, dark water. Let the body become the heavy, resting earth. You are flowing now, entirely without resistance, carried by the deep, powerful current of sleep. Surrender completely to the dark, velvety comfort that awaits you. Drifting, sinking, letting go. There is only peace. There is only stillness. You are safe now to rest completely. Deep, restorative sleep now welcomes you.